As you all probably know, a game called Grow a Garden has recently taken over the Roblox platform. It's been able to gain 1 million active players at any given moment. With all of that said, the game has also received a lot of criticism from the Roblox community. We made a Reddit post asking why this is, so we'll be reviewing the responses in this video. One complaint that I've seen quite a bit is that Grow a Garden puts other developers at an unfair disadvantage. What do I mean by this? Essentially, the argument is that due to Grow a Garden being considered slop, games that are considered high quality don't get a chance to become as popular. Reddit user EducationalBox7709 left a comment on her post, writing quote, "The fact that this can get popular creates a negative environment where actually high effort games will get 50 players and slop like this made in 2 weeks will get 11 million, which is unfair to developers." I don't know if I would go that far, to be honest. Grow a Garden is a game that requires a lot of effort to create. Otherwise, it would not function at all. There's an explanation for why Grow a Garden has more players than games that are high effort. Reddit user TheBaconLord78 responded to the previous comment, writing quote, "Because unfortunately, the demographic who actually wants to play high effort games or strategic puzzle games is a very small part of the wider Roblox community." That is a very true point. If we only go by Grow a Garden's player count, it becomes clear that the audience for games like that is much higher than that for other games. Let's take the game Enophobia for example. Yeah, people might argue that Enophobia is a better game, but the audience for those kinds of games are much smaller. Grow a Garden is popular because the audience for that type of game is much larger. How else would it get over 1 million active players at any given moment? Another complaint that players have made about Grow a Garden is that the concept is too generic. I'm not surprised that people would make this argument, but it has been made over and over again. In the comments of our Reddit post, user TheBaconLord78 makes another appearance. They wrote, "I'd say I don't like how Grow a Garden got so popular because I don't know what made it so special from any other game on Roblox, or even similar games to it besides the Grows Offline feature. I don't know what kind of advertising the devs did or how they convinced millions of players to grind for a fucking SpongeBob house or poisonous flower, but here we are. It's interesting because I haven't actually seen that much advertising for Grow a Garden. At most, it was promoted on Roblox's social media pages. That's about as much as I have seen though." Going back to the comment itself, TheBaconLord78 is essentially saying that Grow a Garden is very generic in concept. All that is setting the game apart from other simulator games is the Grows Offline feature. To be honest, I can kind of see where BaconLord is coming from. It definitely takes skill to make millions of players constantly revisit your game and spend a lot of time in it. The marketing for Grow a Garden must have been very effective, regardless of how much advertising for the game one has actually seen. One thing I do have to say is that calling Grow a Garden generic is a bit of a stretch. Even if the game is similar to other Roblox simulator games, it has something that is able to make people spend lots of time playing it. This next complaint that I've seen is pretty interesting. Another complaint that I've seen people make about Grow a Garden is that it takes too long to progress. It's interesting because Grow a Garden is one of those games that players have to spend time grinding in order to make progress. However, this argument is saying that the amount of time needed to make progress is more than it needs to be. Reddit user I am a Versace wrote a comment about this, stating quote, "I don't know man, I grind the shit out of games and this one just wasn't for me. I tried to grind this solo, not accepting trade requests, and grew the same crops for 3 hours, because those same crops give better profit, and some of them take so damn long to grow. Another feature that demotivated me was the market thing. You have to wait minutes for the restocking of crops, just to give like tens of them. Like, I need 100 of the same crop to make some progress. The best I made was $55,000, and the good items cost millions. Like dude, I am patient, but I'm not gonna wait for almost an entire day to harvest crops that give like $300 to $800 at best." This is a pretty interesting point, not gonna lie. The whole point of Grow a Garden is to spend time grinding and making progress on one's garden. However, based on what Versace has been saying, it takes an unreasonable amount of time to make progress. Depending on how much patience one has, this may or may not be a problem to some people. From what Versace wrote, they spent several hours growing crops that only get him a few $100s at a time. To be honest, that does not seem worth it. Here's a really interesting argument. Another reason why people hate Grow a Garden is that the game's concept would be much better to do in real life. Yup, that's an argument Roblox players have made regarding their dislike of the game. Reddit user MuffMaker2 wrote a comment about this, stating, quote, "Botted and actually a brain rot game. It obviously just rewards you with dopamine because you see the numbers go up and some shitty plant becoming bigger. Honestly, doing this in real life is far more beneficial than in the game, because at least you actually learn more about gardening, you get sunlight exposure, fresh air, and touch grass." I find this argument to be pretty fascinating. Grow a Garden is a really good example of games that make players feel great. Obviously, this is because they get to see a lot of pretty numbers. Do this long enough and this will drive players to constantly play the game over and over again. As for the second part of MuffMaker2's argument, that is a take I've never considered. To no one's surprise, Grow a Garden is a game about growing a garden. However, that's something that can be replicated in the real world. Gardening is a very real hobby that people do. Since Grow a Garden is quite literally about gardening, that could incentivize people to replicate it in real life. Of course, gardening in real life is not going to give people the same dopamine as in Roblox, but the results of doing it in real life is much more worth it. So yeah, it's probably better for players that Grow a Garden to, well, grow a garden in real life. Apparently, this next argument exists. One reason why people hate Grow a Garden is that it forces players to advertise the game. It sounds crazy, but let me explain. Supposedly, some of the badges that players can earn make it so that they advertise Grow a Garden. Reddit user character Nebula647 left a comment about this, writing, quote, "Others have actual probable ideas, but I'm only saying it deserves the hate because of the 6 badges you get when you first play the game spelling out garden to turn you into an advertisement." I didn't know whether this was true, so I went to the profile of one of my friends who played the game. Sure enough, it is true. Whenever someone plays Grow a Garden, they'll gain 6 badges that spell out the word garden. It does work as advertising for the game, and considering how popular Grow a Garden has become, a lot of people have obtained these badges. That being said, I don't know how much this ruins Grow a Garden. For one, they're not the only game to have done this. One example that I can think of is Stages, which has been taken down as of this video being recorded. However, if one looks at the badges section of that game, they'll notice that there were 6 obtainable badges. Together, they spell out the word Stages. In summary, Grow a Garden is not the only Roblox game to use the badges feature to advertise its game. It also doesn't ruin the game itself. What do you think of this? Honestly, the most popular reason for why people hate Roblox Grow a Garden is that the game is popular. It's likely the most realistic reason for this. In fact, when reviewing the responses to our Reddit post, this was one of the most popular responses. Reddit user AmbitiousBitch2146 made this argument in the comments, writing, quote, "Whenever a game gets popular, there's always going to be people who criticize it because it doesn't fit what they like in a game, and then it confuses them that so many people like the game. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but in my opinion, if a game gets popular, then it has to be doing something right at least." I agree with this argument. Since Grow a Garden is very popular at the moment, people will be hearing about it quite a lot. However, not everyone is into a game like Grow a Garden, so constantly hearing about it will make them hate the game. It's not so much because of the game itself, but more about constantly being exposed to it. So yeah, one of the main reasons why people hate Roblox Grow a Garden is that it's popular. What's funny is that Grow a Garden is far from the only Roblox game to have suffered from this. Pretty much every popular Roblox game from the past 10 years faced a lot of hate from the Roblox community. One example that I can think of is Roblox Bed Wars. Do you remember that game? Anyway, Bed Wars was a game that gained criticism due to it being very popular. Basically, Grow a Garden is not the only Roblox game that gained criticism after it became popular. It also shows that people hating a game because of it being popular is nothing new. What do you think of this argument? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. For this final section, we'll be responding to random comments that were left on our Reddit post. These comments do not follow a specific theme, but are more comments that I want to give my own thoughts on. Reddit user The Wizard Boy left the following comment on our Reddit post. They wrote, "To be honest, we have to remember that this is a literal kids game and I guess they're into these kinds of games. I can't blame the developers because they're definitely getting a lot of money from it. I wish Roblox sort of made the front page different for each person based on their age group, because nearly most of the stuff on there is something that most of us don't have any interest in. This is a very true point. Due to the popularity of Grow a Garden, the team behind the game must be earning a lot of money. It's likely to the point where everyone is set for life. I know that Jandel is part of the development team of Grow a Garden, and he honestly deserves the success. As for the second part of the Wizard Boy's comment, the ability to have a more customized front page will be a great idea. Not everyone is into the same kinds of games, so having a homepage that doesn't feature the most popular games on Roblox will be a neat addition to have. Reddit user Eden Jaguar 98 also left a comment on our post about Grow a Garden. They responded, quote, "Honestly no, the game itself is fine. My own main problem with it is that its sheer player count causes Roblox's service to experience issues, of which I then angrily shake my fist at it. To be honest, I forgot Roblox suffers from its servers going down every once in a while. It makes quite a lot of sense though. In the past, whenever a game had hundreds of thousands or even millions of active players, Roblox would go down. The servers would go down and the website would not load. It happened quite a lot in the early 2020s. Nowadays, it doesn't happen as often, but the Roblox servers going down is still a thing. Considering how popular Roblox Grow a Garden is, it's not crazy to say that the game has caused Roblox's servers to go down. If there's anything to take away from this video, it's that people will hate on any game that becomes popular on the Roblox platform. Grow a Garden is no exception. However, the reasons for people hating Grow a Garden in specific vary quite a lot. Some of the reasons are understandable, while others are a big stretch. How do you feel about Grow a Garden? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. With everything being said, feel free to watch this video next.